Hey, it's Popeye from FederalJack.com. Don't miss my show, Down the Rabbit Hole, Wednesday and Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, on the Orion Talk Radio Network.
Silence is the enemy. Words have power, but actions speak louder. Pretend to be free till you die a slave, a soldier in the desert searching for a ghost in the cave. For the corporation, I run out of patience, sick of seeing troops sink to die for your lives, spending dollars in debt. We holler in protest till we have your arrest. We will not rest, and we know what you did that day. Kill your own citizens to advance your ways. All my real patriots stand up and say 9/11 was an
Welcome back to the show, guys. I also, before we forget, I want to bring something up. A person who is known in the 9/11 Truth Movement. He's I wouldn't say that he's a 9/11 quote unquote truther, but he is, I guess, a member of the truth community, and he is known in the truth community at least. Is a Dutch expert who was an expert witness. He was a demolition expert. His name was Danny Jowenko. I think I'm pronouncing his last name properly. He was Dutch. He lived in the Netherlands. He was killed within the past week. I believe it was last Saturday. He was killed in a single-car accident. And this guy is the guy that I forget who the researcher was who brought him the video and showed him Building 7, didn't tell him it was from 9/11, and they were recording it. And he said, what is this? And he said, that's completely a controlled demolition. Look, and he breaks it all down on the video, and he's pausing it, and he's showing him. And then he tells the guy, yeah, this was 9/11. And he looks at him and he says, really? Are you sure? This was 9/11? And he says, yeah. And he goes, well, what do you think? He says, that's still a controlled demolition. So here's this expert, controlled demolition expert. We're pushing for 9/11 truth. You're coming up on the 10-year anniversary, and this guy just happens to have a single-car accident where the dog that was in the car with him survived. So you guys can, decide on that one for yourself. As far as I'm concerned, that's shady. And without further evidence, I can't say I know that they killed him, but as a hunch, I think somebody was involved.
Well, very reminiscent of the Sean O'Hare or Horror, I guess you could say, story.
Oh, yeah, the guy, the whistleblower for Murdoch, he says, I fear for my life. I think someone's going to kill me. And they find him dead in his apartment.
Not suspicious.
Yeah, it's not suspicious. That's not suspicious. But you should watch your neighbor, because your neighbor could be Al-Qaeda for buying,
Well, dude,
shampoo.
they have yet to release how Sean Horror died. I haven't found anything.
Yeah, let me tell you something. To the average person, okay, when you're not a cop, an investigator with years of experience or training, and you see a situation and your alarm bells and flags and whistles in your head are going, when all your instincts are telling you something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, and the cops go, there's nothing wrong, don't believe them. Okay?
Right.
Don't believe them. That's retarded. That's asinine to even contemplate that theory, Will, that nothing shady happened to this guy. I fear for my life. I fear for my life. Someone's out to get me. I think they're going to kill me. They find the guy dead, and the cops are like, nothing strange.
It reminds me of Officer Barb Brady on South Park.
Exactly, dude.
Nothing to see here. Move it along.
Either all the police are actually that stupid, or they're covering it up. And of course, it would have to be that it would be covered up. Yes, there are some police that are drones and are like Barb Brady, but they have to be covering something up. There's more to it than that. And of course, you got to wonder, should the police even be checking it out? After all, the head of Scotland Yard had to resign.
Well, not one mainstream media news network covered it, as far as I know.
But, that's like the fox guarding the hen house.
Yeah, exactly.
Should you really be investigating? That's like allowing the federal government to investigate themselves on 9/11.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. I mean, if you watch the mainstream media and you know that it's mind control and you know what the events are moving towards, then you can obviously pick up on that snowball rolling. I think, because like I said, you made that the video last night, which was very, odd, given the events that happened today. yesterday morning I did JJ Inc.'s show Against the Wall. I did the whole show on the theme of retaliation in the mainstream media and how it was leading to some event. So I think we were both picking up on this, man.
Because you can see it, dude. I mean, that's the atmosphere they're trying to create. They're creating this fear vibe that everybody's got to be scared. The boogeyman's going to come get you. And now it's not the boogeyman isn't bin Laden anymore because he's dead. Now it's Anwar al-Awlaki, the American-born al-Qaeda. And in the clip, one of the last clips you see in the video, you see Napolitano talking to Wolf Blitzer. Well, that whole video, she says that he's wanted dead or alive. And this is yesterday. That's when the video clip was from that I used in the end, was from yesterday on CNN. So within the past 24 hours, Napolitano said on cable TV, that's broadcast all over the world, that here Anwar al-Awlaki is wanted dead or alive. And Wolf Blitzer sure made a point to get her to, own up to dead or alive. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound like bin Laden wanted dead or alive from, George Bush himself?
Dude, looking back on the bin Laden story, I can't help but laugh. That's such a farcity. I can't help but laugh, dude.
Well, you see, what's going to happen is now they're admitting that it wasn't for Muslim terrorists. It's for you, me, and everybody else. And a lot of people are picking up like, what the hell? White middle class Americans are going to blow themselves up because they're terrorists? What the hell? Okay, but you still have some of these idiots with this Islamophobia. Oh my God! Look, I don't agree with Sharia law. Okay, and I don't think the United States should change any laws. No cities, no counties. We have a lot of Muslims, so we have to, kind of go with them. No, you're coming to our country. You have to capitulate with our laws. Okay, that's the way this country works. My mother was an immigrant. My grandparents on my mother's side were immigrants. My father's relatives were immigrants dating back to before the Civil War. I have relatives that fought in the Civil War and all the way up through have served through the military, including myself. Okay? And every immigrant that came over here had to do things the proper way. When my mother came over here in the late, I think it was late 50s. She came over here I think it was late 50s, early 60s. She had to do everything. She understood English because they taught English. She came from the Netherlands, and she taught English, okay? So they teach it, or excuse me, she spoke English. She was taught English, I should say, and she spoke it as a second language after they were taught Dutch. They were taught right in school. But my grandmother didn't speak a lick of English. She had to, and when she died, she still had a pretty thick accent. But she was able to learn English well enough that she got a full-time job and ended up being in charge of the division that she worked for, this big company. So if my grandmother could come over here and learn to speak English, then why do we have to change the rules now? Why do we got to change the laws now? Why does everything got to be different? Because that's just a small example. I don't want to get too far off on it. It's just an example of how they beat you. They poke you from every side to the point where you're so just beat down and you just don't know what's right, what's wrong anymore. And they keep you in this spin, this zone, and then they add the fear, and that's when terrorism, look under your bed. Terrorists might be in your bed. They might be at Walmart. They might be in your trunk of your car.
Mm-hmm. And for every story that comes out about so-called domestic, whether it be domestic terrorism or external terrorism, I mean, they gain more power from it every day, from every article that they put on the internet. Anybody who reads it, I just read through some articles yesterday, and there's just keywords everywhere popping up all over the place about. I mean, it just keeps perpetuating the fear, the mind control. There's no difference between the two, really. At the end of it, fear is mind control.
Dude, case in point, look up terrorism in a dictionary. The use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes.
Look up government.
Yes.
And,
see government. They right underneath it says see government. I mean, come on, man. Seriously. Look, yes, there are bad guys out there. I'm not denying that. There are people that are bad. There are bad guys. But you have to question when things happen. You have to question when things start to line up, that it's not a coincidence, okay? And when the media is pumping out the fear factor the way they are, I mean, they're just pouring it on. They want you to be scared of everything.
Oh, man, I don't even know what to think anymore. I think this is only the beginning.
It is only the beginning, but don't be afraid. That's what they want. No fear. Take fear and kick it in its little wimpy behind. We'll be right back. We're going to break.
All my real patriots stand up and say 9/11 was an inside job. They lie, they scam, they cheat and steal. They plot, they fund, they act, it's real. They watch, they hunt, they punish and kill.